Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Let's Talk Hockey, sponsored by Bunkers Hill Hockey and powered by Pixel Factory Media, as well as Hamilton Audio Management. Joining me in the virtual change room is my good friend, Adam Bidoff. How are we doing, Biddy?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
I'm pretty good. And let me give the lowdown on our latest guest to join us on this episode. His name's in the title, but we're going to run through a couple of his accolades. A utility player out of Scarborough, Ontario, with over 360 pro games to his name, as well as playing for some historic junior hockey teams such as the Guelph Storm and the Sioux Greyhounds from the OHL. His career has a few interesting stops on the way, which we're sure to get into. But most noticeably for us over here in the UK, it was his 32 games he suited up for the Nottingham Panthers, posting the impressive 299 penalty minutes across all competitions, awarding him the most penalised player of 2010-2011 for the league. He goes by one of the best nicknames around for the Enforcer. I'm proud to welcome onto that podcast, Alex Weapon X Penner. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. Going good. Thank you. I appreciate you guys inviting me onto your platform here. It's always good to talk hockey with the English fans.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a big fan. I know Adam is as well. He's been wanting me to get you on as a guest for a long time. So we're going to have big smiles through this one and get into some talking. So without further ado, let's drop the puck on period one and get into the get to know you questions. So what we start off with is just your introduction to hockey. So how did you find the sport? Obviously being Canadian, being from the Toronto area, give us the lowdown.
I just came from a strong hockey family. I was the youngest of three boys. My dad was he was involved in hockey tremendously through my young age. He was involved himself with Guelph Storm OHL, so he was a goalie coach there. And then as we got older, he couldn't fulfill the time that was needed for a goalie coach, so he became one of the scouts there. And so just being around hockey all the time. But I think I got into it probably when I was about 3 or 4, as your typical Canadian kid, standard age. And but yeah, I got into it, my brothers, and then always just having a competitive spirit amongst ourselves and our family. We were always pushing each other and wrestling and fighting each other too. So it was good.
A lot of time out in the backyard on the pond and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, my dad made us he made us a little rink in the backyard, and we'd go and practice and stuff. And then we had a pond when we moved. We had a pond, so he taught us down how to check for ice with the axe and make sure you check a couple spots. And like he taught us when we were young how to do that, so that we can go down and test the ice and go practice on the pond all the time. So it was good. Yeah, we always had somewhere to skate.
Nice. So coming from a big hockey family, is hockey still in your life? Do you still support teams? Do you kind of more follow players? What's your kind of involvement with hockey nowadays?
Nowadays, I just play recreational hockey with the at the power plant. I work at the nuclear power plant here in Pickering. So we have a league that goes through Darlington, Pickering, Ontario Power Generation, and just play in there with a couple guys. There's a couple of NHL guys there. I played with Matt Christie and Man. And so they're like second and third round NHL guys. It's unbelievable. So they're like electricians and finance guys now, and so it's fun with that. But no, I love when Toronto does well, just because I'm in Toronto and the city gets so hyped up for it, and it's good to see. Like, it's nice to see a good positive feeling in the city, especially in Toronto. And but as far as players, I just like to McKinnon stood out, you know what I mean? Yeah. McDavid stepped up. Like, it was good to see good players step up to their full potential. And then you didn't see some other guys step up, like Austin Matthews and stuff like that. But it's I don't know. I don't have a favorite team or a favorite player. I just really like watching good hockey. Like the Stanley Cup Finals was unbelievable. That was fast and so good. It was great hockey. And I just kind of stay away. My dad still coaches. He still coaches, getting them ready for OHL, and he's still a big part of it. So I have a kid now, so I have a 2-year-old daughter. So we'll see what sports she gets into, if or any. She might be a chess master, who knows? And so we'll play by ear. But I'm sure down the road I'll get back into sports, especially when the kids grow up.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah, that final Stanley Cup final was the final I think we were wanting for the past couple of years. Those two powerhouse teams.
Yeah, they were just Colorado was just a little bit younger and faster. You know what I mean? Like Tampa just couldn't. Their experience just couldn't hold them off.
Yeah, a bit of a change of pace. A question that I geek out on. I love. You've worn a few over the years. What does your number mean to you? You've worn 29 over here in the UK. And through my research, I've seen you've worn 16, 23, 32, and 37 are the ones I can find. Does anyone kind of stand out to you?
Well, 16 was when I was like young.
Yeah.
And I was always 16 for some reason. I don't know if it was Brett Hall or who it was. It could have been Trevor Linden. I don't even know. But 15, I used to go with 15 because I was born. Like my stats are always wrong. It always says August, but I'm born September 15th. So I used to be 15 for that. And then I went to 16. 23 was thrown to me at Don Mills in minor hockey playing AAA in Toronto. Went with that a little bit. No reason, just played good with it. So I stuck with it. And then, but 29 was, I always looked for a number that was a fighter number that like no one had. And you always want to throw something weird out, like a 63 or like something stupid. So I was like, 29, a goalie number. And like, no one really goes for it. We'll make that the new tough guy number. And then other people started taking it and started doing it. And then when I ended up on their teams with them and stuff, I'm like, all right. And then they're like, give you 32. And I was like, sure, whatever. And then, so that was at Colorado too. And I was like, buddy, give me my number back. It was with Jones in Colorado. I was like, give me my number back. And he's like, I'm doing pretty good. I was like, yeah, but I got a whole thing with it. Like, just give it to me. And then he's like, no. And I'm like, all right. So I had to switch numbers to 32, but that kind of worked out because it went with the Weapon X thing. And like, the Weapon X has like 3 slashes. So I was just saying, like on branding number, you can do like a 3 slash with a 2 slash for 32 for Weapon X. You know what I mean? So I love playing on to that stuff. It's cool. It's and I know I'm a geek fan too. So I love playing on to that stuff because I know if I was watching it, it would get me excited too. So it's cool stuff like that, right?
Awesome. That's probably one of the best answers to that question. It got me geeked out on it now.
Yes.
But moving on to number 4, what was your standout hockey moments? Either one watching and one playing.
Standout hockey moments. I have a couple good and bad stories. Bad story would be like something just bad happening, right? Like mine was Jesse Boulerice, two-handing Andrew Long in OHL and like two-hand him off the face-off, like right across. But that move got him drafted into the NHL. Like, oh, you're willing to kill someone? We like you. You're in and so it was like that. It was unbelievable. And but like I remember Brett Hall, Stanley Cup goal. I remember I stayed up as a kid watching that. Darren McCarty's little breakaway, little move. You know what I mean? Just because he's a tough guy, grinder. So that was big ones. Big moment for me playing. I would say like just there's a couple fights that stand out. There's a couple goals that stand out because I only have like a handful in my career, so it's easy to pick those out. And there's a couple fights like the Joel Theriault is probably the one that will go down for me as one of my best like combats I've had.
That's perfect. That's perfect. If the answers keep rolling like this, Alex, I'm telling you now, we're gonna have to do like 5 shows. This is awesome. But moving on to a fun one, your dream line. So you, like I said in the intro, you're a utility player, so I didn't know where to stick you, forward or D. But obviously it's your line. You can pick. You've got to play on the line and then fill the other 4 players and the netminder.
There's 2 ways to go about this one. You can load it up with like tough guys and you know what I mean? Like you can be like Bob Probert, Tony Twist. I'll play center, and then you can throw some guys on the D, like Dave Schultz or something. You know what I mean? Like you can throw like that. But like if I was going to make a line, I'd make a good hockey line, and I'd be the tough guy. So I'd be like, all right, let's put like Steve Yzerman with Pavel Bure.
Nice.
Throw me like a Phil Housley with the breakout pass. You know what I mean? And then you can throw. I like, you know what? Give me Bufflin. Give me a Bufflin out there. Just a big man. Just he's slow as hell, but he's so huge. And then as goalies, you can go like Patrick Waugh, but I'm gonna go with my. he's my brother's favorite goalie, but I also became a big fan, and that would be Dan Cluche.
Oh, yes.
He's got some stories. Him and his brothers, they used to dress up as nerds and go to the bar to pick up fights. So people would be like, "Oh, let's fight these nerds," and then they go outside to fight them and just tune them right in. I was like, these guys are crazy. I'm like, who does that?
Fucking brilliant. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a Utica Comets jersey behind there, and Canucks are my big fan. So when you pull out Burry and Cluche, like, geez, you're tapping into some distant, beautiful memories back here.
Oh yeah, they were good. He was the Cluche, Sylvain Cluche, and his brother Danver. They're tough customers.
Oh yeah. Well, that does it for our get to know you questions. We're going to move on to the lightning round, which is fast and furious. Just answer your favorite or your best to, in your opinion, the best to the options I give towards you. So here we go for the lightning round. Favorite or best hockey brand?
Oh, I was always I love Bauer growing up, and then they went Nike, and it kind of went weird. Yeah. CCM, the skates were always good on me, but I would it all depends. Like I was in Easton sticks, and then I went Easton skates. I had the Synergies when they first came out, or like a boot, and then Warrior sticks. Like I love Warrior now. Nice. Now I'm a big Warrior fan.
Sounds good. Away rink to play in. So you give us one from the UK when your time over here, and one in the US when you were playing over there.
Belfast.
Yeah.
Belfast, like Sheffield was pretty good. Belfast was cool. They just had, cool. It was just a cool experience. And then who else would be in an away rink here in the States? Oh, Alaska was cool. It was just cool to travel to Alaska. But like Stockton had a really good rink. Hershey in the American League had a really cool rink.
Yeah.
Like, they felt like they were on top of you. The whole town was there. There was I also loved Johnstown Chiefs. It was a dump, but it was the old war memorial, and it was awesome. It felt like you were doing slap shot every time you came out. You're like, oh, hey. Guys are smoking in the crowd. You're like, I don't know if that's allowed, but okay.
Leading on from that, favorite opposition. It's a team to play against.
Oh, like when I was in Colorado, Rapid City, you had a good rivalry. Good teams I like to play against was like teams that had a good fighter that I knew was going to be a good bout. Like, because then I got something to get up for. You know what I mean? If I looked at the lineup and they had no fights, I'd be like, I am not seeing a shift tonight. You know what I mean? I'd be like, all right. Like over in Nottingham I was able to play more and develop my skills a little bit more there. And it was good. It was good to play. Like I had fun over there. I don't think I treated it the way I should have. Like I went over there having a little bit too much fun. I also like treating it like back here, I found it was a difference. Like over there, they treat the hockey players like soccer players.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they put them up on a pedestal and they're like, oh, look at these guys. We're like over here, we're all blue collar guys. Our parents work down at the plant or are down there doing construction or something. Like, so we like to go like and have beers with the fans and like, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? And where they're like, no, I got to pay $20 to see this guy. It's like, no, you pay $20, you better be buying me $20 worth of beer. That's you know what I mean? Like, so it was different. It was different, but it was cool. I liked England. Like I'd go back and play there, no problem. But it was cool.
I think we can find you a job.
I'm a Boilermaker now too, so I can come over there, start welding and rigging, and do all this stuff over there for you boys.
There it is.
Play rec league with you.
That'd be beauty. What a beauty. So favorite jersey.
Ooh,
could be one that you've worn or one that you just admire.
Man, that's a good question. That's there's been some terrible ones. I was a big Guelph Storm fan. It was just, I think that just brings me back to like my whole family was around Guelph. It just brings a lot of memories. Like I remember Jeff O'Neill and Todd Bertuzzi going through there when I was young and my dad was coaching. And just then my brother was there, Memorial Cup with a bunch of guys, Dustin Brown and Ryan Callahan and stuff. And then I was there for a little bit. So like seems like a lot of that jersey just brings a lot of memories to me. But yeah, That's outside Guelph Storm.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. A music genre. What are you listening to?
Oh, I listen to anything. I used to play in a symphony orchestra, like clarinet, bass clarinet, and like
Nice.
alto sax and stuff like that. So I can do a little classical, but me, I love heavy metal. I love
Yeah.
heavy metal. Like my Lamb of God, Slipknot, Pantera is my favorite. I got head tattoos. When I was in Nottingham, it was too funny because people were like, "You got head tattoos," and they're like, "How drunk were you there?" And I was like, "Actually, it's when I sobered up for 3 days is when I just got a bright idea to get this done." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." I go, "I think I'm crazier when I'm sober."
White or black stick tape?
Oh, white. I like white, and then I use the puck. Put the puck marks on the bottom half. Give it a little traction.
Skate tongues, are they tucked or they flopped?
Oh, I when I was younger, used to try like the tuck it in and have the flop thing. And then I got older and I was like, no, A, I don't think it's cool. And B, you're vulnerable. Like you have this much more room for me to slash you on your foot, and top of the foot slashes suck. So if you want to take that chance, that's fine. And I've also had a friend get a skate stuck inside there and cut them and stuff. So I'm all about trying to protect myself because like it's just like your wrist. Like when people have their wrist up and stuff like that, I'll slash that. If I see skin, I'm slashing it.
Fuck, man after my own heart. I love it. Body check or hip check?
Oh, body check. Shoulder right to chest, sternum, and just go right through them. Like I play rugby. Not used to, I still do. And I just take them down and hurt them. Like
a standout coach.
Oh, I had some beauty coaches. Craig Hartsburg was really good. But funny coaches was like freaking Terry Masters, not Terry Masters. We had Kevin McCollin. Kevin McCollin was he was just funny. Like you'd be sitting outside the bar and or the restaurant or whatever, and you're having a smoke, and you're like, okay, and then he'd just put it out on his tongue, eat the cigarette, and walk back inside. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? like you just do stuff like that. Like the one time I went in to take a piss in the intermission, and he was in there, and he like takes the armpit deodorant and sprays his armpits, and then sprays himself in the mouth, and he's like, fresh. I'm ready to go. And I was just like, what? Like he would always do stuff like that just to throw you right off, which was right up my alley because I love doing that stuff. So it was fun. I was just like, this guy's awesome.
A travel buddy. So someone next to you on the bus or on the plane.
I don't know if Fraser Filippic was a great roommate and travel buddy in Colorado. Me and him used to stay up at night, and we used to indulge and partake a couple beverages or whatever. And but we used to plan how we were going to like dump and chase and how we were going to hurt people and like plan of attack and go over the lineup of who was on there and do stuff like that. Like it was good, but mostly I just kind of ran solo on the road and stuff because a lot of guys were trying to stay out of trouble, where I was just trying to do my thing.
Fair enough. Post-game drink of choice.
Over there, unbelievable was Guinness. I couldn't believe how much Guinness in a can was unbelievable. I was just like, this is a minute like this. Just the old like dark brown shower, and but no, Guinness was really good. I love gin and tonic. You give me a nice gin and tonic, I will drink. I can drink a 40 of gin and tonic. Just it's awesome. Right now, over here, we have a Sleeman's Clear 2.0. And just because it's just low calories, low carbs, like I think I shedded 10 pounds just switching beers.
And then finally, Slapshot or Miracle?
Slapshot or
Miracle. Or Miracle.
Slapshot.
Yeah. I thought it'd be an easy one to end on. So that brings us to the. Go on.
I wasn't sure what you're trying to get at. I was like, what Miracle? I was like, no.
I like it for the Herb Brooks, the coaching talk and stuff.
Oh yeah, they got good scenes like that. It's your typical American movie, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like take them. Yeah, build them up, give them pride. It's good. It's good. It's a good motivator.
Yeah. But I thought
that's just how minor hockey is slap shot.
So that brings us to the end of the first period. We're going to take a quick short break, listen to these ads, and we'll be right back.
Let's Talk Hockey is sponsored by Bunkers Hill Hockley, the best place before and after any event at the arena. Our listeners can get offers on a range of drinks, ask the bar staff for details, and tell them that Let's Talk Hockey sent you. That's Bunkers Hill Hockley, a minute's walk from the rink. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back from a couple of them ads, and we're still here with Penna and still here with Biddy. And we're going to throw it over to Biddy to open this second period because he's got possibly one of the most interesting questions to ask Penna. So go ahead, Biddy.
Right, well, first of all, I want to start off with I'm a huge fan. Back in 2010-11 is when I first started watching hockey, and you was the standout guy to me because I remember coming down, and I think it was against Sheffield, and something happened. You tried to have a fight with one of the guys, and it wouldn't happen, and you was thrown out. And then 2 minutes later, you come back on the Sheffield's bench throwing water bottles back into the ice and stuff. And it's like, this is amazing. Like, how is this a thing? And after that, I was hooked, and I was down every weekend. And it's like, where is it? Like, he's over there, right? Follow him. Oh, no fight, right? Go get a beer. Be back in a second. So to have you on this episode, I'm buzzing. I've been bugging Max for ages. But this thing that stood out for me, and this is the question I want to get onto, is the first time when I come down, when the fight was about to start, everyone started chanting Weapon X. And it's like, well, what is Weapon X? Obviously, I've heard Wolverine, but I've never heard of this in hockey before. And I'm just curious, where did this nickname come from? Is it something that the team gave you? Was it done from the fans, or is it something you put on yourself? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, it did come about. And I think every fighter tries to find that image and tries to get that kind of branding. And this one just kind of fell into my lap just because of the character that I am as a person and off ice. And I've had many nicknames in the past, but the Weapon X one stuck in Colorado when I was playing there with Ryan Tobler and my brother, Andrew Penner. And Ryan Tobler is just like, man, this guy, like, he's just, because I'm pretty relaxed. Pretty calm. I like to relax and smoke my cannabis and just kind of enjoy my time. But I have one good skill, and that's beating people up, and I enjoy that. And that's just like Wolverine. I just kind of the episode where Wolverine's in the bush trying to have a family, and they come knocking on his door. And next thing you know, his woman's killed, and he's losing it, and then he's dragged back in, and that's just pretty much like they felt like I was a calm person that when you called upon just released hell and brought everything with him. And yeah, it was a good nickname. And I was a big fan of Wolverine growing up as a kid. Me and my middle brother, Adam, used to watch the cartoon X-Men all the time. And me and my brother, we always joked around like that. We were Wolverine and Sabretooth, and we'd always battle each other and fight. And it was a good little thing. So for it later on to become a nickname was kind of like, wow, I guess you didn't know it, but the ground was already set for you. And you just had to evolve into that character, and it was good. And Colorado, like, thank God, their production value and their multimedia video was unbelievable, way ahead of their time at the time. And they were able to make those videos and cuts, and they even spent money to get the imaging for the Weapon X and the Spinning X and stuff. Like, they spend money on publicity, putting it out there, advertising about it to draw the fans in. And I knew my job, and it was good. It worked both. You know what I mean? It was awesome. Yeah. The fans loved it. And then I stole the 6-shooters. I used to do the 6-shooters from Brandon Sugden, but then Weapon X came. So the X came, and it was like this. And then I grew up with the wrestling with WWE, and they had Generation X when they used to I'm like, suck it. And like, you know what I mean? So like, it was just one of those. So now like everything came into matter. I'm just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, suck it, I'm the best. Like, fucking X. Like, it was cool. It just evolved, and that was yeah, and that was it, and just ran with it. And everywhere I went, teams wanted it. They wanted it, and they can sell T-shirts, they can sell it to the fans, and they knew I was going to put on a show because I was very intense, and I came from a strong farm mentality and I was raised in Toronto, so I had that street little grit to myself. So I was big, strong country boy with street grit, and so it kind of worked in my favor. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I've thrown sticks, I've speared guys, I've thrown water bottles, I've jumped in the fans, I've jumped into benches, I've jumped after people, I've done a lot of things. Just I don't know.
So kind of rolling on from that a little bit is I wanted to ask you, when was the first time that you kind of realized that this was your role? Were you looking up and down the bench and nobody else was going? Was a coach kind of pushing you, or a teammate saying like, you need to be our guy?
It was literally my father, like him with his extensive history with hockey, and he just knows, and him being a scout, he knows when he sees a good player. And he was just like, hey, I was fighting at school, and he was like, hey man, why don't you stop fighting at school so you don't get suspended, so you can get a high school diploma, and why don't you fight in hockey because your skills are terrible, and why don't you fight until your skills catch up, and then you can start playing. And I was like, all right, because he knew I loved hockey, and that's what I wanted to do. It's just I had to work harder than the others just because the talent just wasn't there.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's a route that not many people can take, but when you know it's your role and you own it, keeps you doing the thing that you want to do, I suppose. And,
it's good. Like I loved fighting, boxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Like I just love combatant sports. Hockey is just a Canadian pastime my family was very involved with. I loved it, every second of it. Used to play road hockey, you know what I mean? You do like game 7 in the road. Fun. It's just, when you go, you fight. And then when you're beginning pro, you're fighting, trying to make a name for yourself. And then the later on in pro now you're fighting to keep that name for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it becomes, and there's always that back and forth, and there's that transition time, and you become the young lion to the big king of the mountain, and then you got to defend it. And then eventually you're going to get thrown off. It's just, how do you leave? Like, hopefully you leave on your terms. You know what I mean? So like not getting knocked out 4 times. And then it's like, you're done, buddy. You're done.
Yeah. The time in the sun's passed.
Yeah.
So something about. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah,
Billy, go
so
ahead.
that's really interesting to know that you actually went into the sport knowing you was going to be the fighter. Because I know we've asked this question before with someone else that likes to throw gloves every now and then, and they was like, "Oh no, I come into the sport, and as I was playing, I didn't realize I could fight." So it's quite interesting knowing that you already had this skill down. You're like, "Where can I capitalize it?" And you found a path to actually use that skill. I think that's a really interesting route to take.
Yeah, it was it's the route that I had to take if I wanted to do what I was dreaming of. Like sometimes, like everybody wants to talk about privilege and whatever, man. Like, no, man, to get to the top, some people start halfway and some people, but if you are meant to be at the top, you will get there. You will find a way there. Like, and sometimes like, sorry, I wasn't drafted to the NHL. I didn't have a big agent and a big name. Like I had to work hard. I had to grind. I had to fight. I had to get in the trenches and get dirty. And it didn't pan out, but I had a great time, and I got to meet great people, great fans, great players, and I got some good stories. Half of them I can't remember, but the other half, the other people I don't think I want to remember. So it's but it's good. It's like I knew fighting going in. It was I don't know. It was something I wanted to do. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe not many people want that, but growing up, I wanted to be the Tony Twist, the Bob Probert. Like I wanted to be like the ultimate tough guy. Like,
so something that I brought up to a previous guest, Matthew Toussignon, who is more of a modern day fighter, I would suppose, more of a modern day enforcer. He tries to play the game as well as mixing in the fighting. But something I brought up to him was there's somebody as a goalie coach, like your dad. There's a power play coach. There's a video coach now. There's a coach for everything, but there's not a coach for fighting. Who's coaching fighters?
Usually you'll have like an assistant coach that used to fight a couple times and he'll throw you, something like that. But there's nobody. You go to a boxing, like you go to boxing when you're young to learn how to throw a proper punch. Right. And then that's when you like stuff. If you want to stick with boxing, it's great. Like I used to have Scott Poundle, Poundy, me and him used to box before games, and like he was a lefty and he was like a friggin' amateur pro boxer, and and like he would sting me too. Like he would like I would have like swollen eyes, and they're like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, warmed up now. I'm like, let's do this." And like I would box him before McMorrow, and like man, I was boxing all the time because it helps you. Like when you see punches coming, you get your eyes and your hand eye, and you see it, and like more and more you get used to it, the more and more you can see it coming. You can move. Like when I was boxing all the time in Montreal, Marasti would be like going at, and I can just block it, and then bam, bam, bam. But when I first fought him, I was all wiry. He was getting inside me. He was popping me, and like so, you learn your strategy with certain opponents. But yeah, like hockey, there's no hockey coaches. Like that's what I would love to start. Like I had Sawyer come over for Ice Wars. He only came over for an hour, and that was like 1 week before he came in, so I didn't have much time to work with him. And that was the thing. If you gave me a month with a guy, they could have licked that friggin' competition up, because it's all about conditioning. It's all about taking it, all about moving. Like you want to punch, but not get punched. Like it was a marathon, like that thing. So it would, he did well for himself, but he could have done way better, and he could have licked it right up, because he's a huge man. He's like 6'6", 300. Like I was here. We had him on ice. We had the plastic ice. We're hitting the pads, hitting the bag. Like I had him moving. It was good. Like, so there's like, that's the thing. There's a lot of techniques out there. Like I have a technique that I don't share with anybody, that I lock people up, like Matt Cassian, like big names, and got them in and tied them up. Like it's cause I learned it from jiu-jitsu, and there's like, I've taught a couple UFC guys that move, and they're like, what the fuck? And it's like, it's an arm lock. It's like a frontal arm lock. It's crazy. And, but there's like stuff like that. Like no one's teaching this stuff. Like McDermott, I would love to get a hold of McDermott, that big boy, and just teach him how to fight, and you just lick people up. Like the fact that Ryan Reeves is the NHL's toughest enforcer is embarrassing.
Yeah. not a Reeves fan. Fair enough.
No, like I think he's a good player and he's doing that, but as a legitimate NHL heavyweight, that's your guy. That's how that's what I'm saying. Like the league has gotten down to. It used to be like you had Boogards and stuff running around, were just monsters. Like, and that's what I mean. Like there used to be really tough. It was crazy how tough it used to be with Gillies and Yablonsky, and then you had like
Brashear.
Like Brashear was eating like LaRock.
Yeah,
like, these guys were animals, man. Like,
absolute beasts and absolute beauties for it. I'm going to change the pace a little bit, because one-on-one fights is one thing, but one of the infamous moments in UK history, I suppose, as well, and definitely for the Nottingham Panthers, you were involved in a bench clearing brawl between the Panthers and the Coventry Blaze. And I recently went back and watched that game, and I don't want to say that you were the instigator in that, but you had a hefty say in it. A couple of run-ins with their goalie, and then one of their players has gone to get kicked out of the game by the ref. He's meant to be skating to the changing room. Linesman doesn't have hold of him. He goes after Kowalski, and then everything, just all hell breaks loose. Talk us through that, like being part of a bench clearance.
You know what's funny is I totally forgot about my part of it, because I just remember like the bench clearance, and like from the bench clearance, it was me in the penalty box. I'm like, oh, this is happening, and then right?
Yeah.
But my buddy was like, he did the same. He rewatched it, and he was showing me, and I was like, and I did like run the goalie a couple times and stuff.
Yeah,
you
fell on him a couple times.
I was like, yeah, maybe. I was like, yeah, okay, I was a dick out there. I was like, all right, and then like that happened. It was crazy, but it was. I was talking about this recently too, and it was too funny because. I went in there and it was fighting. I love line brawls. Like that's just pretty much just sucker fest. Like just look at a guy and look him in the eyes, and if he ain't on your team, sucker him. Like, you know what I mean? Like just and just keep going. Just you, boom, you too. And that's what I wanted. But like I had Lee. Lee was grabbing me, so I'm like, man, I know I'm not going to fight you, man. Like you're a tough guy, but you're not my tough guy. And then he's like, no, wouldn't let go. So we fought. And then I was like, okay. And then Guy Lepine started fighting, and there started more stuff over there. And Danny Ren's the goalie or something. So I'm like, let go of me, man. I got to get in there. And then he wouldn't let go of me. And I was like, all right, the only way I can get you off me is just to beat you off me. So I just started going at him again to try to beat him off me so I can go. Finally, I get loose, and I'm like, boom, here we go. I'm just going to start suckering everybody. And then I slipped on my jersey, and then I heard the crowd laugh, and I was like, oh, I'm done. I went from like 100 to 0. And just like that. Once I heard the crowd laugh, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm done. I couldn't even get mad anymore. I was sitting in the corner and they're like, calm down. And I was like, I'm going to look pissed off because I got to look pissed off. But I'm kind of laughing at myself too. Like, pretty embarrassing, man. And that jersey probably saved 3 people's lives that night.
Yeah. And I know the guy. Well, I don't know him personally, but he does another podcast, Panthers Only one, called Cat's Whiskers, and he's on that as a co-host, and he's got that jersey. And they said to him, "Oh, do you want to have someone like stitch it back together?" He's like, "No, I want it tattered. I want it torn." He was just as much of a fan as me and Adam, and he's got that somewhere. I'm never going to pry it off his hands, and he's welcome. He's welcome to it. But knowing that it's still here in the UK and like in a happy place is good to know.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, he loved that shirt. Jesus Christ. But what's the room like afterwards? Because the refs finally get a hold of things. It all kind of calms down. Everyone goes back to the benches and stuff, and then you're sent to the rooms. What's the room like after that?
It's weird. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it's not. Like, I'm kind of different, so it is what it is. But sometimes they come in, they're like, yeah, that was really good, whatever. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't know. And I'm right. I'm like, what? And like, sometimes I'm all hot and I'm just like horned up and just ready to go. And I'm like, that was awesome. And like, I'm going to kill that guy and let's do it. And then sometimes I'm just in the shower, just wearing aviators, having beers in the shower, and people are like, what are you doing? I'm just like, I'm just relaxing, man. Just taking it all in. It was like their mood. Like, I think the mood changed. If they knew like I wasn't getting suspended and the team wasn't getting fined, then they're fine. They're like, that was awesome. They need more of that. But when they're like, you might be suspended for 10 games and you might be fined a couple grand, and like it's like, teams didn't really like me getting suspended because they loved having me on the bench. They hated me not being on the bench. Like, even when I was injured, hands, stitches, my eyes, concussion, they're like, we got to dress you. We need you on the bench. It's like a scarecrow. Like, just need you there just to let them know. And then sometimes that would backfire and teams would be like, I think he's hurt, start running people. And then they're like, you got to go teach him a lesson. I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be playing.
So my last question for this period is, running on from that, it's kind of just popped into my head. Who's giving you the tap? Is it coaches saying you need to go get that guy? Is it a moment of passion? Is it something that happens on the ice, or is it a bit of everything?
I'm going to say legally, no one can tell you to go cause bodily harm to anyone.
Of course.
But there's definitely shit being said. Like,
right.
But it's like, somebody better get that guy. Penner, you're up. I'm like, okay. Here we go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's quite obvious what's going on.
Yes.
It's like they don't tell you, or like it's like, or the big hit, and then guys in the team be like, fuck, and they're like, Penner's line. And I'm like, so like when you're younger, you don't know, and you don't want to get in trouble, and you don't want to ever. So people have to be like, hey, you have to go fight that guy now. And you're like, oh, okay. But like when you get older, you're like, no, that's my job. You don't need to tell me my job. This is what you pay me for. Anyone touches my guy, sticks my guy. Like, and that's the thing is sometimes I'd get myself so worked up and I forget, like, my biggest con would be I want to fight and kill people so bad that I forget to play hockey. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you got to make a pass. You got to like cover your D man. You just can't go out there and try to cross check people in the throat all the time. Like, you got to play hockey. But yeah, like, because when you're seeing people get sticked on the ice and you're like on the bench and you're just you're just start chirping, and then you're like, you start foaming from the mouth, and then the coach is like, all right, see what you're going to do, and you're like, okay, and the next thing you know, you hit 2 guys from behind, jump the goalie, and it's like, maybe hold him back a little bit.
Where's the reins on this kid? Like,
yeah, and then that's the thing. Growing up, you got to find what is allowed or not allowed, and certain times where you can escalate it, and it's a learning process. And you know what I mean? The good ones figure it out, and the bad ones kind of get suspended and kicked out of the league. So
yeah. So Biddy, you got anything else for him?
Yeah, just one last one. So I don't know how true this is, because it was just something I heard someone tell me, and I don't know if it was an official source or not, so I want to talk to you directly about it. I remember when you first come over to the Panthers, you had an interview, and you mentioned that the reason you're coming over is because you've fought everybody in the league that you was currently in, and you've beat all the hard men, and you come into England to basically now fight the EIHL's hardest men. Was that an actual interview you did, or was that just hearsay that fans started putting out there?
Man, that does sound like something I would say. And there is some truth to that. So it's hard to deny that claim, because I honestly don't remember. But again, I drank a lot there with you guys. And I found out the hard way that you guys don't go out till like 11 p.m. So I'm posted up like at 8 p.m. getting drunk, expecting people to be in by like 11, like, and that. And they're like, no, they show up at 11, and then they party till like 5 a.m. And I'm like, oh. That changes everything. I go 5 a.m. That's when I go to work. Like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, okay. But it was a different change. But it sounds like something. Yeah, like England was tough. It was Europe. As far as we're concerned, it's Europeans' toughest league. Like, you know what I mean? So like anyone that has any grit or any fighting skills, if you want to go abroad, like, you're going to England. And you guys had McMorrow here, Hoffman was coming, like Sawyer was here. There's a bunch of guys, and then you had Brad Both. Like, I never got to fight him. He was pretty quiet when I was around, or maybe he was just getting older and just said, screw this crap. But yeah, they had like a lot of tough guys over here. So, and when I was young, like I was like the Conor McGregor, and just kind of made outlandish claims just to get publicity and get things going. And that does sound like sometimes right up my alley. I used to say a lot of bold stuff.
Because you did a radio kind of like promotion, I suppose, between you and McMorrow. I know he's talked about this a few times. You have done, you did stuff like that before.
I believe he organized that, and they called me to do it, and I was like, oh, sure, man, why not? And then he tried to make it like a WWE thing, and I was just like, oh, and it kind of threw me off at first, and I'd have to listen to that that radio or that thing again to see, but at the time I just remember being like, this is so weird. I'm like, do I act? Do I be like, yeah, I'll kill this guy? Like, all you Penner maniacs out there, let's get her going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, all I can do is, hey, man, if you want to see a good fight, show up. I'm gonna fight this guy.
Awesome. So we've run over a little bit, but I'm having so much fun. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll see you back for the third period.
Let's Talk Hockey is powered by Pixel Factory Media and Hamilton Audio Management, taking care of all of our post-production needs. You can find Pixel Factory Media at pixelfactorymedia.org and Hamilton Audio Management at GCHamilton88 on Instagram. A big thank you goes out to both companies for their work, and definitely check them out where you can. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to period 3, final period, plus a little bit of OT, as we usually do at the end of the show. We've still got Penner with us, we've still got Biddy with us, and quickly, as we do at the start of every third period, is go over some of the news. Coming up, we have the 3rd of September. The podcast is, I say, headlining or sponsoring a tournament that's happening in Nottingham. 5 teams facing off in a one-day competition. That's the Nottingham Outlaws, the Ice Wolves of Bradford, the Spitfires of Coventry, the Fat Dads from Kingston in Hull, and the Falcons from Grimsby. If you're around, check it out. We're going to be trying to do a live stream of it as well. So check us out on Facebook or Instagram to watch the full day's worth of rec hockey over here in the UK. Outlaws, as of tonight, come home winners 5-2 against the Falcons. So a team two teams that will be facing off in that competition on the 3rd of September faced off tonight, and Outlaws came ahead 5-2 victors in that one. So well done to the Outlaws on that one. Leeds Lightning faced off in a competition and came out on top in a tournament in Hull. So big shout out goes out to the Leeds Lightning for that one. I think that's all the news covered. So let's get back into it with Alex Penner. So Pens, you played in one of the toughest leagues going around, the LNAH in Quebec. From what I can work out, you were over there when they had a few guys on each team. Like, what was your experience over in that league?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, we heard about the Quebec Fighting League growing up.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like everyone used to poke fun, like, oh, you don't want to end up there. And as a fighter, you definitely want to end up there. And if you want to challenge yourself, you're also definitely want to end up there. A lot of fighters are scared to go there because they don't know what they're going to do. They don't want to be embarrassed. And the reason that league is the toughest is not because of the caliber of fighters, because there's like, of all the fighters, the top 10% are the big ones, like your Morasti, your Terrios, your Francis Lassards, your big names. But the rest of them, they're just willing and able, and they're big boys. And that's what makes it the toughest, is going not once a night, not twice a night, but possibly 3 times a night, twice a weekend, and then doing it again next weekend and the weekend after and every weekend after that. That's why it's the toughest, because only the toughest can survive and go through that battle. And as you're hinting to, every team has about 3 tough guys. Some teams have 4 or 5, so it can get pretty long. It can be pretty depth. You can share a lot of the fights and a lot of the fighters. Some of you get a little bit of a personal grudge, so those are your twos, and then they go at it. And then some of them are just what fans want to see. Like, fans want to see me and Morasti go at it, and then me and Terrio go at it, Gabby Rock go at it. Like, they want to see those, so you got to give them what they want too, right?
Yeah, so we're looking ahead on the schedule as to, like, right, that's my guy. I know that's going to happen.
For the Quebec League, no. I was flying in. I was at home. I was flying in on Friday, fighting, just show up. I knew I was fighting. Like, all right, what team is it? Who they got? And my first year, I had nobody. I didn't know who anybody was. And I was the new English guy on the block. So they're like, this English wannabe tough guy, let's try him. And like, so they would send everybody in their dog walker after me. And then, so I had to fight them off. And then once you fight them off, they're like, oh. And then when I went toe to toe with Terrio and came out, and they're just like, huh. That's when I got respect from them, is when I went after their monster, came out on the other side, and it was like, Jesus, like, okay, this guy's for real. This, because they're like, they all hear about it, and they're like, you don't believe this Weapon X, whatever. And like, you know how they are. And then, so you got to make them a believer out of them, right? So you show them what you got, and they realize why I'm Weapon X. And that's the other thing, is like you pointed before, went over to England, ran through their tough guys. What's the next toughest league? Go to Quebec, run through their tough guys. All right, what now? Nothing? All right, might as well start a family and get a job.
Once I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? That's it, right? So, but it was tough. It was crazy. Like we were talking in intermission before, like, but there was the line brawl with the fans, the incident with the fan, and then we can get into that. But there was also another incident, there was a bench clearing brawl in Sorel Tracy, and me and the other tough guy were skating on the ice with our shirts off because it was just ripped off. And then next thing you know, the big chair comes flying in on the ice and slides right by us. And I was like, I look at him, I was like, I think that was meant for us. He was like, yep. And then we're like, all right, let's skate a little closer to the middle of the ice where they can't
keep out of the way of anything else that could come flying in.
Oh, like, it was a big chair. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't a folding chair. It was a non-folding chair. Like, I was like, what the?
They can get lazy. They can get lazy boys out on the ice now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Zamboni driver's throwing his chair at us.
So let's get into the crazy incident that I had no idea about up until about, I don't know, about 5 hours ago today, where you got into it. Well, your whole team got into it with the fans, but you kind of came out a bit more scathed on that one.
Yeah, it was funny because we had like a line brawl, and then I got partnered up with an old friend of mine that I played with my first year pro in Laredo, Texas, Steve Simoes. So I grabbed him, and then he's like, "Better, we're not doing this." I was like, "No, we're not doing this. I'm just got to make it look good." So I ragdolled him. I grabbed another guy, ragdolled them, and then I fell down. We all went to the ice, and that was it. And then when I was leaving, Francis Lessard starts piping up, and he hasn't said anything all game. So at the end of the game, like, I'm getting tossed out. You're going to start piping up like a tough guy. Like, you're so fake. And so I started losing it on him. And then the two refs had to restrain me, and they were like pinning me against the boards, and I was trying to like fight them off. And I was like, fuck, just let me kill him. And then I just took off my helmet and I threw it at Francis Lessard. And then they're like, what the hell? And then I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. And then I was leaving the ice. And this guy, I see this freaking guy come down, reaches over and throws a beer can at my trainer and hits my trainer. And I just lost it. And I just jumped up and I just started like going after the guy. And then next thing you know, I'm yelling at everybody. And then all I see is the corner of my eye, this pop bottle coming at me, and I was like, oh god, I gotta take that one. And I just kind of put my head down, took it off the forehead, and then it went flying off. And the next thing you know, I just feel warmth, and I was like, oh, I know that feeling. Son of a bitch. Oh, I was so upset, and I just wanted to let loose, and I couldn't get my footing on my skate kept slipping off the glass. I was trying to climb the glass, and then and then I just started yelling at people, and then it was bad.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen the video, I'll try and link it on our socials where possible, and check it out. I'll tell you now, it's not as a hockey fan, it's not the easiest thing to watch, because I know you now. It sucks that fucking happened, but it's just something you don't think would happen, and yeah, like, geez.
Yeah, like I like being in England with the English fans and stuff. Like, man, people are gonna do and say what they want and stuff like that. Like, the English fans are crazy. Like, you guys are like soccer hooligans that are trying to like. And then I think that's why you guys are so confused. You're like, man, we fight outside in soccer, but you guys are fighting on the ice. Like, you're taking our fights away from us. We don't we don't need to fight each other, because you guys fight each other for, you know what I mean? Like, maybe your soccer players need to start fighting each other on the pitch, and then your fans will stop fighting each other in the stands.
Maybe so.
Do you know what? I'd pay good money to watch Ronaldo get beat up as well.
yeah. There's a few soccer players that would like, okay, put him in the ring, see what happens.
Wayne Rooney would use his head as a 4-pound hammer, hit someone, and just over and over.
like a special in WWE. Like, that's his move.
Oh yeah, you can use that guy's head as for a hammer to get an exchanger out.
So keeping with the fight in Manchester, you alluded to earlier that you were training a couple of guys for Ice Wars. Do you see that thing taking off?
Oh man, I don't. I'm glad I'm talking to you about this, because the UK, like, I can be honest with you, because over here they don't want to hear about it, because I have friends that are a part of it and they want to talk highly about it, and I'm a realist, and I work with a union, and we work with major companies, and things got to be professional. And I've worked with other teams that are like their production, they have to bring it up. Like, I watched it just because I know McMorrow, Sawyer was in it. I watched it, and I was like, man, the execution fell way short. And then if you look on Instagram, there's Ice Fights, I think it's called, and it's Russia. Okay. And they have something this similar, but their production's unbelievable. They got cheerleaders, they got fans, they're actually on real ice. Yeah. Like I don't know what they're paying their fighters, probably nothing as well. Like, and that's the other thing is Ice Wars is trying to make it happen, but they have like a small budget. And to get big name fighters to do this, you're going to need a bigger budget. Yeah. Like, nobody that is a long-term veteran is going to risk their ego, possible injury, possible lost work time, and no financial consideration at the end of it. There's like, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? So it's hard, but I hope it does. I love fighting. I think it's a good idea. They're trying to make it like rough and rowdy on ice. You know what I mean? So
yeah, okay.
And that's the thing is like, I don't know. I just like hockey seems like fighting is dying, and it's going a different direction. And I love, like, to me it seems like you need to start an XHL. Like, you know, like the XFL, like, like where it's just, there's fights, there's the obstructions are back, like you hold guys up, like old school hockey, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, man. Like over here in North America, it's a big liability insurance thing. People don't want to like take risks on people getting injured and paying them out and all that crap, right? So it becomes a big financial thing. But I love it. Like that's the thing though. Like I signed up when I was fighting. Like I knew the risks I was taking. I knew the possible concussions. I knew the possible broken noses. I have 3 hand surgeries. I had 3 sagittal band ruptures. They're like called boxer's knuckle. Like it's you know, like if you don't know it going into it, then you're delusional, because it comes with the territory. And I always say, like, everybody has a little bit of warrior in them. It's just who we are as a human race. Like, it's just now we are so liberal and we have democracy that we've taught to isolate and keep our little warrior spirit down low. And
you bury that.
Yeah. So but everyone has it and it's there. It's just, how do you want to use it, and just knowing what you're getting into. It's just like at work. I know the hazards going into work. I'm not going to stop working just because there's an H2S hazard or some hydrazine hazard. I'm just going to prepare myself and wear the proper PPE. Like,
so quickly speaking on PPE, something that just jumped into my head. Were you kind of like, we heard like Bob Probert, like the tie down comes off, and he had a whole thing about his shoulder pads would come off and then the elbow pads go, and like, did you really like modify your gear in any sort of way?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Oh, and like I modified it as far as hockey, but when I went to the Quebec League, I shredded like everything. and now I can't even go back. Like my elbow pads, like I had no pieces up here, just the cups, just so I can like elbow guys and stuff. But like it was loose, and I always loved to shake off the elbow pads. But like I would take cross checks against here all the time, and I'm just like, all right, this sucks. Like, but it's fine. I can toughen it out. And and my shoulder pads in the front would fall apart, and I would take out stuffing and I'd take out padding and stuff here because I didn't need to get protected here. Like, because I played rugby, so I felt like having equipment was kind of more than I'm used to, and I was used to taking those shocks and how to absorb that. So I was kind of fine with that. I just made sure I had big warrior cups on my shoulders so I can run guys through. And then the rest of it was like almost nothing. And I just it looked like there was something there. So when people grabbed it, and then once they grabbed it, it would be like a clip and it would fall away. And like, so people would have nothing. And they're like, so now they're swimming looking for something. And I'm just pop, 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 pop. Like, but so yeah, there's always a strategy and stuff like that. Like,
so I'm going to throw it over to Adam before we go to OT and see if he's got anything left in the tank for Penna.
Yeah. So it's always a tough one to ask, because
go on.
No, it's a tough one to ask because obviously you are the big hard man, you are the big fighter. So it's kind of a daft question to ask. But when you was out there, was there any like a particular player that when it was like you need to go fight that guy, where you actually thought, I'd rather not this one? Like, was there anyone that ever intimidated you enough where you felt you was going in on the back foot, or was you always
when I was young, I was more just like cock hard and stupid. You know what I mean? Like just running in there, just like, yeah, I can do that. But like when I was young, I was like, oh my God, like I might get my shit kicked on this one. Because you're like 21, 22, and you're fighting this guy who's 28 or 30, and he's been around, you know, his resume, and you're like, he's really dumbing some guys. You're like, well, if I want to know where I'm at, this is what I got to do. Later on in my career, Joel Theriault I wasn't scared but I was anxious and definitely worried. Like he can cause some damage. And truth be told, that's why I remember his fight so well, because when we're in there, he hit me like 3 times, like right here. And I remember whack, whack, whack. And I was just like, holy shit. If I was tilted like 1 inch higher, he would have shattered my orbital bone and probably blew my eye socket out. Like, I just remember sitting there and really like this and just hitting whack, whack, whack. And I was like, oh, I was like, like, good thing he hit me in the forehead where it's thick, because, oh my God. Like, and he throws everything into it, like just cement blocks right into her. And so that's what I mean. But again, you're older and more experienced. Yeah, it was when I was young. You're fighting the men. You went from boys to men, and you're like, holy, let's see where I'm at. Hopefully I don't die.
Oh, I hope that was a good answer for you, Billy, because that was a wicked question. So with all of our guests, we like to ask them to ask us a question for OT. So I know I've not really done my due diligence. I've not sent it over to Billy. He's going to get it cold. I've got a bit of a heads up. But Penna, what's your OT question or questions for us? We'll get into that.
Yes. I'm just trying to remember offhand. I remember writing those. But the question was like, how'd you guys start into this? Like, when did you, what got you together to be like, hey, let's get this podcast going and let's do something? Was it a COVID force, or was it just this, it just seemed like the right time and the passion came too, or like, how was it?
So I'll lead off, and then I'll throw it over to Billy, because the story will lead that way. COVID hit. We all got locked down. We couldn't play hockey, and I really missed the boys. I missed my friend Adam, my other co-host who's sometimes on with me, Ali, and then other guys who we've had on as guests who are now part of the rotation of co-hosts that we've got. Just miss talking to those guys. So I was like, hey, what if we recorded it and see if somebody listened to it? There's nobody on this side of the UK doing much in that way, especially for rec hockey. We've kind of evolved a little bit more than just rec hockey, getting on ex-professionals like yourself, McMorrow and David Ling and a couple other guys. But yeah, like trying to promote the hockey that we love and play. And just the more voices that this sport has, the more that it can grow. And I love these boys, and I love this sport so much, and I love talking to fantastically interesting people such as yourself. So that was a big win, and kind of a big reason why I started it. And then I kind of dragged Biddy and the other co-hosts along for the ride, and for some reason they stuck around. So I'll let Biddy at least explain why he stuck around with me.
Basically the same sort of thing. So it was COVID hit. We couldn't do it. We pulled the rollerblades out, and we was meeting up, social distancing hockey out on a basketball court on rollerblades. And as well as we just started talking to it, and a few funny stories come out, and it's like Max said, as well, why don't we just try record this one day and see what happens? And I'll admit, off the bat, I was like, this is going to be absolute shit. I come along, like, we said we are going to get together, we're going to have a couple of beers. I thought, like, yeah, beers, I'm happy, I'll get involved with this then. And we recorded the first 2 or 3. And if you go back and listen to them, you would hear the difference in the sound quality. Like, they were crap, like, edited wise. And it weren't until a few of the lads at hockey that started messaging through, like, actually, you guys are onto something here. This sounds quite good. And then it then sort of started making it a little bit more serious. It was like, well, actually, let's look at getting someone that can help edit it. And let's actually start getting questions together instead of just spitballing. And the more and more it led on, we then started getting guests on, and then we got our first professional come on, and it's like, this can actually be something. And yeah, after that, I've been glad to be part of it, because again, Max comes out with all these ideas, and after time they're like, here we go, it's another one. But hats off to him. This one's actually been a cracking idea, and yeah, it's going well. So I'm quite proud of him.
That's good. I'm the same boat. I have many wild ideas that my fiance just goes,
But yeah, I've loved hockey media. Like the last season in the UK, I jumped on a lower league team in the Nottingham Lions. I do the commentary for them now, along with a couple of other volunteers. I try and do live streams of rec hockey games as much as possible through our Facebook page. And I found a real love for this, and I found people go, oh, you're actually pretty fucking good at it, and pump my tires a little bit, which I was not expecting at all. And finding people like yourself that you just reach out, send a message, and then they go, yeah, let's do something. Let's see how it goes. And then guests having the trust in listening to our shows, wanting to come on, is such an ego boost, and it's something that I'm not going to stop doing this. This is fantastic. Yeah. I love it.
And then I guess my other question would be a follow up to that is, what got you into hockey specifically?
Okay, so I'm going to have to send you episode 1 because we all go over this, but we'll give you the highlights. So I started when I was 10. One of my best friends who I've had on as a guest, Alex Geitch, got me some rollerblades. We started playing roller hockey on the street. Said, if you like it, me and my dad will take you down to ice. Started playing ice. Didn't really make it to the team or anything. Started watching the Panthers. Went and played roller hockey. Got pretty good at roller hockey. Played for a team that won the regional league a couple of times, and then a national championship at some younger age groups. And then fell away from the sport with work, and now I'm back into it. I got back into it at 21. That was 10, 11 years ago, and hockey's always been in my life since I was 10 years old, and I wish it was there when I was 2, if I'm honest. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, the biggest reason what got me into hockey was the guy down the road from me that just said, hey, do you want to play on the street together? And next thing you know, I'm knee deep in hockey gear, jerseys, and a sport that I can't get out of. So I know awesome. I know Biddy's got a bit more of an in-depth answer, and I think you'll love this one.
Yeah, so back when the Panthers reset back up in 50s, 60s, my dad was actually on the team. So he was one of the ones that first got back onto it when it was the likes of Johnny Pustai and people like that. And it was one of those where I remember my dad telling me, and as a 15, 16-year-old kid, I was like, yeah, of course you did. And I sort of didn't believe it. And then it weren't until I started going ice skating and stuff, and I started hearing the same sort of names that he'd mentioned. And it's like, well, start looking into this. And then I found a picture of him in his full kit, and it's like, actually, this is quite impressive. And then I was telling one of the lads that you just used to public skate with, and he's like, oh, well, we do a thing called adult scrimmage, and it's just, as long as you've got kit, you can jump on another plane. It's like, well, just come have a go. So I thought, well, I can skate, but I've never done any sport like this before. I'm going to be absolute dog shite, but it's £10 for a session. I'll see what it's like. And I remember borrowing some kit. I remember the helmet that was 3 sizes too big, but I could like 360 across my head. But I thought, just go have a play. Loved it. And yeah, from the age of 18 onwards to 30 now, I've been constant all the way through. I love it. And yeah, it was just that thing of hearing the stories and that guy just going, here's a stick, go have a go, just see what you think. And yeah, the bug just bit, man. That was it. I was away.
Yeah, that's all it takes, man.
Yeah. I wish kids have it from younger over here. And it's the most infectious sport. I've got my parents into it who, like, my dad used to take me to training. That was it. My mum didn't want anything to do with it. She thought it was, I thought I was going to be getting in fights and this, that, and the other. And I'm going to end up with broken bones and stuff. Then come down the line, we've now been, as a family, been going to the Panthers for over 10 years, like close to 15, I think, as well. With my company that I work with, we're going on 6 years of sponsoring the team. Like, it's just so infectious, and nice. It's fantastic now that I can do this with my family.
And doesn't Nottingham, don't they have that, like, don't they have the ice in the center square?
Oh, at Christmas time.
At Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. They need to get that bigger.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of years ago, they actually put some hockey on it as well. And I think we were both quite lucky enough to go and play in Market Square when you had people doing their Christmas shopping, come past and just stop, and got to watch a couple of like beer league players just knocking a puck around and
but
just playing 3-on-3.
Playing shinny.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's what it should be doing.
Yeah, and it should be that every year, and I hope it comes back soon. But yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I hope like hockey it's awesome. I love it. I hope it's this like, how is it over there? Like, it's still like, it was good. Like, you have so much potential over there just because your fans are so passionate.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like you can, as long as you put together a good experience for the fans and make it cost effective, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't have to break their bank every time just to see it. Like it shouldn't, and especially Nottingham, they have so many seats. They should be packing that all the time. And anytime they have, like, I was telling them, like, you got to get more involved with the community. And that's why I kind of said, okay, I'm just going to get drunk all the time because you guys are doing your own thing here. But like if you have like 30 seats, you should be giving 30 seats out to a school. Like, you know what I mean? Like you should go around to schools and getting them involved and being like, okay, whoever has the best like marks or whoever the best attendance or whatever this month, that school and that grade gets to come to the game that week or something. Like, you know what I mean? And switch it out to the schools because you get 30 kids a free game, right? Those kids get bit, they go home, they get their parents, let's go. And then now you have them. And then you can have a lifetime fan for 20 years, 20 plus years at the age of 8 or 6 and just give them. And then kids were like, oh, I want to do better. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's a good, it's good for the community. So, but whatever.
Yeah. The English League is, as I always say to anybody who asks about it, it's the best kept secret in the UK that we have ice hockey, because it's the most infectious sport, as we've said before. It's the fastest team sport played in the world, and we have it on our doorstep up and down the UK with not only the elite league, but subsequential lower leagues as well. Okay, the standard is not the same, and the, you know, kind of the rules of imports change and stuff, but it's still hockey. You can still get bit by the bug, and there's probably a team within 30 minutes of anybody in the UK right now.
I was looking at teams around London just because my daughter's godmother's in London. She has her own business there. So I was like, so me and the fiance were like, maybe go to London one year, maybe go around there. So, and I was like, you know what? I can still play in that league.
Oh yeah, you could.
You could. And now I understand hockey. Like I actually play hockey, and it's funny, but I liked it. It was good. I liked it. Like it was nice. You're part of Europe. You're like the mainstream in Europe. You're England. Like the pound weighed more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And it was good. Good. Like, it was a good social. Good people. They like to have a good time. Like I love the golf out there. It was funny because it was raining, and I was like, "Oh, a little rain delay." And they're like, "If you don't golf in the rain here, you'll never golf." Like,
suck it up, but get one of them umbrella hats. Get one quick.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was good though. It was really good.
So we've taken up enough of your time, and we are so thankful, so grateful. I know this is only an audio only podcast, but me and Biddy have had a smile on our face the whole way through. And you've shared some amazing stuff, Penna. So it only leads me to say thank you to Biddy for being a co-host, and thank you to Weapon X, Alex Penna. Hopefully there's more in the tank. We can do another one of these a little bit further down the road. But thank you for being on, and thank you for being our guest.
Yeah, no, thanks, boys, for inviting me onto your platform. I appreciate your time as well. So don't think it's a one-way street here. It's I'm very thankful for the opportunity with you and to go over old stories with you and to share with the fans, because I know some of the fans didn't get to actually meet me or get to see me. The ones that actually got to have time with me got to enjoy and got to see the real character I am. And the ones that didn't, like, hopefully they get to learn a little bit more about me through you guys. And like you said, maybe down the road we'll do a little bit more. Hopefully get a little bit of feedback and they want more, and we'll give them more.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Biddy, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Anna, thank you again. This is Max signing off on episode 18 with Alex Weapon X Penna, and we'll see you on the next one.
Let's start hockey!